Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. On page 1 in your booklet's opening thoughts. The centerpiece of the traditional afternoon service for Yom Kippur is the Avodah, a description of the sacrifices offered by the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, as his contribution to the rite of atonement sought by the people every year while the temple stood. The service challenges us to explore our ancestors' encounters with God, to use our own imaginations to translate their words and experiences into our own prayers. As a preface to the Avodah service this afternoon, in fact, a very simple prayer may be appropriate. Help us, O God, to lift ourselves upon these very ordinary words so that they may carry us back to our people's most extraordinary experience of you. May we who mingle with each other here today draw near to you once more in awe and intimacy and great forgiveness. Page 2. When the great Rabbi Yisrael Baal Shem Tov saw misfortune threatening the Jews, it was his custom to go to a certain place in the forest to meditate, where he would light a fire and say a special prayer. The miracle would be accomplished and the misfortune averted. Later, when his disciple, the Maggid of Mezrich, had opportunity to plead with heaven, he would go to the same place in the forest and say, Master of the universe, listen. I do not know how to light the fire, but I am still able to say the prayer. So later, Rabbi Moshe Leib of Sasov, to save his people, would go into the forest and say, I do not know how to light the fire, I do not know the prayer, but I know the place, and this must be enough. And it was enough. At last it fell to Rav Yisrael of Rizhin to intercede with heaven. Sitting in his armchair, his head in his hands, he spoke to God. I am unable to light the fire, and I do not know the prayer. I cannot even find the place in the forest. All I can do is tell the story, and this must be enough. Listen, Eternal One, we are going to tell the story. In the book of Ecclesiastes, turn.
Either way. Ready? You can always take that one.
Everything turn, there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time too late. To every king, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven.
Page 3, Avodah for self and family. The ritual begins at dawn. Great crowds converge from far and near upon the temple, and its courts are filled to overflowing with priests and Levites, men and women, young and old. The high priest has prepared himself for 7 days. How can he intercede for others if he is impure himself? All night he has rehearsed the sacred ritual. Robed in gold, he burns the incense, offers the sacrifices, dispatches a goat into the wilderness, the goat a symbol of the people's longing to be rid of sin. How splendid he looks in his glittering array, how heavy his responsibility, as alone he enters the Holy of Holies, the curtained chamber, mysterious yet simple, containing nothing but a stone, but engraved on that stone are God's 10 words. How glorious he is when he comes from behind the veil of the shrine. 3 times the white-robed high priest recites a confession of sins, first for himself and for his family. We rise as able. Page 4. Ana Adonai kaperna lechataim v'lavonot l'pshaim shechatati v'sha'aviti v'shepashati lefanecha ani uveiti ka'katuv ki vayom hazeh yechaper aleichem leteher etchem michol chatotechem lifnei Adonai tihitaru. So too do we confess our sins for ourselves and our loved ones. Eternal One, let our homes be dwelling places of your presence, where love and justice are taught and practiced. Please be seated. How am I failing myself? Reflecting on my own dreams and aspirations, my vision of my highest self, I turn to you, Eternal One, my Creator and Sustainer. Every person's abilities are limited by nature and by the circumstances we have had to face. Whether I have done better or worse with my capacities than others with theirs, I cannot judge. But I know I have failed in many ways to live up to my own potential and your demands. Not that you expect the impossible. You do not ask me, why have you not been as great as Moses? You do ask me, why have you not been yourself? Why have you not been true to the best in you? As the Kotzker Rebbe taught, if I spend my life pretending to be someone else, who will be me?
That one right there.
Love After Love by Derek Walcott. The time will come when, with elation, you will greet yourself, arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, "Sit here, eat." You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life, who you have ignored for another, who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your own image from the mirror. Sit. Feast on your life.
No cable.
Okay, cool. Are we up?
I hammer in the morning, I hammer in the evening, all over this land. I hammer out danger, I hammer out warning, I hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters all
We rise, page 8. Al chet shechatanu b'lefanecha, we sin against you when we miss the mark. For our failures to fulfill the best that was within us, Eternal One, we ask forgiveness. For passing judgment without knowledge of the facts.
Falsehoods to go unchallenged,
For having talents and letting them go to waste.
and for setting goals but failing to pursue them,
For deceiving ourselves with half-truths.
for pretending to emotions we do not feel,
For giving up on our dreams.
and for closing our eyes to reality,
For conforming to fashion and not the conscience.
for indulging in despair and trafficking in cynicism,
For self-contempt.
and for arrogance and egotism.
Ve'al kulam Elohai selichot
Selach lanu, mechal lanu, kapelanu. Ve'al kulam Elohai selichot Selach lanu, mechal lanu, kapelanu.
Please be seated. Page 9. How am I failing my family? Reflecting on my dreams and aspirations for my family, my vision of who I can be in relationship with those I love, I turn to you, Eternal One, my Creator and Sustainer. Alas, I have been weak. Too often I have missed the mark with those closest to me. I have failed to make the required effort to do my work well, to give my full attention to those who needed me, to speak the kindly word, do the generous deed, express my concern for those who are dear to me. I have not loved enough, not even those closest to me.
A quick announcement for those who have hearts. If you don't go to the microphone, those watching online won't be able to hear you. And we have people who put in a lot of work into making sure those who can't be in person with us today can also participate in our service.
Thank you, Betsy.
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank Dan Ronfeld for remembering how much I love this poem. And I came to the Neela service last year, just after my dad had died, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I could get through it without reading it. So he remembered this year and asked me if I felt I was ready to read it, which I thought was very sweet of him. And I read it at home and got through it without crying, so here I am. This is Those Winter Sundays by Robert Hayden, and in looking this up at home, I realized something I didn't know, which was that Robert Hayden grew up in Detroit, and my dad also grew up in Detroit. So I doubt they're connected, it was just another one of those little, aw, that's nice kind of things. So this reminds me a lot of the things that we didn't appreciate that my dad did when we were kids. So Sundays, too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue-black cold. Then, with cracked hands that ached from labor in the weekday weather, made banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake and hear the cold splintering, breaking. And when rooms were warm, he'd call, and slowly I would rise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house, speaking indifferently to him who had driven out the cold and polished my good shoes as well. What did I know? What did I know of love's austere and lonely offices?
The Layers by Stanley Kunitz. I have walked through many lives, some of them my own, and I am not who I was, though some principle of being abides from which I struggle not to stray. When I look behind, as I am compelled to look before I can gather strength to proceed on my journey, I see the milestones dwindling towards the horizon, and the slow fires trailing from the abandoned campsites over which scavenger angels wheel on heavy wings. Oh, I have made myself a tribe out of my true affections, and my tribe is scattered. How shall the heart be reconciled to its feast of losses? In a rising wind, the manic dust of my friends, those who fell along the way, bitterly stings my face. Yet I turn, exulting somewhat, with my will intact to go wherever I need to go, and every stone on the road precious to me. In my darkest night, when the moon was covered, and I roamed through wreckage, a nimbus-clouded voice directed me. Live in the layers, not on the litter. Though I lack the art to decipher it, no doubt the next chapter in my book of transformations is already written. I am not done with my changes.
Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akulam. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akulam. Salam Aleinu Ve'akol Ha'olam, Salam Shalom. Salam Aleinu, Salam Shalom. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akulam. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akulam. Salam Aleinu ve'akol ha'olam, Salam Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'akol ha'olam, Salam Shalom. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akulam. Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ojavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akulam.
We rise as able, page 11. Al chet shechatanu lefanecha, we sin against you when we miss the mark. For the ways we are failing our families, eternal one, we ask for forgiveness. For condemning in our loved ones the faults we tolerate in ourselves. And for using the sins of others to excuse our own. For expecting too much. And for settling for too little. For always saying no. For failing to recognize the sacrifice our loved ones make for us. And for making martyrs of ourselves. For confusing love with lust. And for pursuing fleeting pleasure at the cost of lasting hurt. For speaking when we should have been silent. And for keeping silence when we should have spoken.
Ve'akulam Elohai Selichot Selach lanu mechalanu kaperlanu Ve'akulam Elohai Selichot Selach lanu mechalanu kaperlanu.
Page 12. Having confessed his own sins and those of his family, the high priest recites a similar confession for the whole house of Aaron. Ana Adonai kaperna lechatayim lavonot lapshaim shechatati v'shaviti v'shapashati lefanecha ani uveiti uvnei Aharon kakatuv ki bayom hazeh yechaper aleichem letaher etchem mikol chatotam lifnei Adonai tihitaru. Eternal One, pardon the sins, iniquities, and transgressions committed before you. I and my household and the children of Aaron. On this day atonement shall be made for you to purify you. Now the high priest, having confessed for himself and his family and for all the priests, confesses a third time for the whole house of Israel. An Adonai kaperna lachatayim lavonot lapshaim shechatu v'shavu v'shapashu lefanecha amcha beit Yisrael kakatuv ki vayom hazeh yechaper alehem lateher etchem mikol chatotechem lifnei Adonai tihitaru. Please be seated. We too pray not only for ourselves and our families, but for the Jewish people as a whole, whose destiny is ours and whose hope we share. Reflecting on my dreams and aspirations for the Jewish people, my community, whose responsibilities I help to carry, I turn to you, Eternal One, Creator and Sustainer. Alas, I have too often neglected my duties to my people. The Jewish people is only a remnant of what it was, a fragment of what it might become. It needs strength to rebuild itself, to flourish, to carry on the task entrusted to it by you in 100 generations. Have I been a source of this strength? Have I enhanced its good name? Have I shared fully in its life? Have I studied and taken to heart the history of my people and the teachings of my tradition? Have I helped to renew that which is old and make holy that which is new? Libi b'mizrach v'anochi b'sof ma'arav. My heart is in the east, and I am at the ends of the west. How can I taste what I eat, and how can it be pleasing to me? How shall I render my vows and my bonds while yet Zion lies beneath the fetter of Edom and I am in the chains of Arabia? It would be easy for me to leave all the bounty of Spain, as it is precious for me to behold the dust of the desolate sanctuary.
I laugh when I hear that the fish in the water is thirsty. You don't grasp the fact that what is most alive is inside your own house. So you walk from one holy city to the next with a confused look. Go wherever you like, to Calcutta or Tibet. If you can't find where your soul is hidden for you, the world will never be real. Kabir.
In those years, people will say we lost track of the meaning of we. Of you, we found ourselves reduced to I, and the whole thing became silly, ironic, terrible. We were trying to live a personal life, and yes, that was the only life we could bear witness to. But the great dark birds of history screamed and plunged into our personal weather. They were headed somewhere else, but their beaks and pinions drove along the shore, through the rags of fog where we stood, saying I.
She's okay.
Simchat Chaim, Simchat Chaim, Tekilah. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing, Tekilah.
You rise as able, page 15. We sin against you when we miss the mark. For paying scant heed to the life of the Spirit. For failing to support the land and people of Israel. For failing to teach. For hiding from our calling to wrestle with God. For seeing our personal Jewish practice as the only way. For insisting on tradition without creativity.
Ve'al kulam Elohai selichot selach lanu mechalanu kaper lanu Ve'al kulam